In 2017, the Aprilia Rsv4 RR and RF won the Motorcycle of the Year. But they didn't just win, they dominated the field with a score of 93.78%. So what choice did I really have? I had to buy one. Let's get this thing inside and see just how much of a financial mistake I've made this time. Okay, so I mean, where do I even start? This bike is not looking very pretty. I think let's start at the front and let's work our way backwards and let's list off everything that's actually broken with the bike first. And then we'll come back and list off everything which is awesome about this bike, because I've either made a really good financial decision or it's gonna come back to bite me in the ass. Front fairing, definitely gone, like definitely busted. Okay, the air intake is also gone, and these things are expensive. Like, I really hope I can salvage these plastic OEM ones. Ugly green levers. I mean, they've got to go anyway because you can see they've actually been bashed in the crash, so that's got to go. Good to see the clutch actually works though. And you can see that this bike has had a left-hand low side as well, because most of the damage is on the left-hand side, the marks on the side of the tank. This is actually the fairing mount that's broken off, and it looks like it's sitting loose down there in the actual underbelly. I hope the quick shifter's all right, because this is taking a real bash. Like, this is actually supposed to sit up here. So we're gonna have to try and salvage this, maybe a new rod, but this is actually bent. So the Giamoto rear sets, very, very cool, out of the UK. It's actually bent. It's actually got bent brackets. So fingers crossed I can fix those brackets. Carbon on the back here, totally loose. That's gone, that's gotta go. So the shark fin as well, it's lost its carbonesque. Is that a word? Carbonesque, when carbon goes like ugly and disgusting and old and you can't fix it, even with clear coat and sandpaper. So that's gotta go. The seat actually came with the bike, but it was ugly and disgusting, so I took that off anyway. But these fairings on the back actually go for a bit of money. So anything that's a genuine Aprilia RF factory fairing is worth a bit of cash. So obviously these little things will go because we will paint the tank. Yes, we will paint this bike. So yeah, not too bad on the left, manageable, I think, manageable. I'm just really concerned about that there. The right side, this is how that air intake is supposed to look. Well, sort of. It still doesn't look like it's sitting up like that the way it should. So we'll have to inspect that. Everything is so dirty. Like, it's just a disgustingly dirty bike. I really hope I can get this outside shortly after I've finished yabbling on and actually give this bike a really good clean. There's nothing worse than working on a really dirty bike. Everything here looks like it's intact. Through all the radiator system, the fan, everything looks like it's okay. It doesn't look to be missing anything. Obviously this is all broken off, lower fairing, but I'm pretty sure the mounts are okay, so I can probably sell that lower fairing. Luckily, the Giamoto right-hand side rear set is okay. Nothing too much back here on the right-hand side. Even the tank actually looks like it's fine on the right. Just needs some freshening, some freshen. It needs some Cantifying, some 1L moto-ifying effect. Okay, so that's the bad things, and it's not that bad, to be honest. Like, I think it's manageable. The big financial risk here is that by rebuilding this bike, can I actually get my money back when I go to sell it as a track bike, or am I gonna lose money because the track bike market is not that hot at the moment, and I've got a massive tendency to go too far and too blingy on my builds, so I could end up costing myself an arm and a leg. But let's take a look at what's good with the bike and why I bought it in the first place. Okay, the first thing, the bike is actually straight and it's got two wheels. Very rarely do I buy a bike, like if you look at these bikes, that actually have everything intact. This bike here, the entire front end was destroyed. It was gone. When I had to rebuild this bike, it had over $10,000 worth of damage on it. So I'm really glad that both the wheels are actually okay on this bike. They are pretty disgusting, like in terms of the color. I don't know why you would have like really weirdly purple wheels. Like they're just wrong. They've got to be changed straight away. We can't have weirdly red wheels on a bike that comes out of my factory, that's for sure, or my garage. Okay, so things that are really cool with this bike. It's got Brembo M50s, so massive pot brakes on these. It's also got the 330mm discs, which came out on the 2017 RF model. It's got Öhlins. So one of the best things is this bike has a full Öhlins package. So not only does it have Öhlins here, it's also got the Öhlins damper as well. And it's the manually adjustable damper. It's not the automated damper, which is better because it means less, well, I'm gonna say shit, but less stuff goes wrong with it. Someone's put some Bike adjusters on here for preload. So that's cool, or damping, preload damping. I'm not quite sure which one's probably one, one's probably the other. And just back to the front forks, someone has put these dust covers on it. So I can only assume that the person that owned it, okay, that dust cover's ruined, look at that, that's gone. Aprilia, whatever it's called. These have probably protected, or try and get that off later. Yeah, they would have protected the stems and everything. So I don't even know if I need to do a full rebuild on this because chances are it's actually in pretty good nick. Okay, now as much as I just said these are broken, these are a massive selling point for me because every time I build a bike, I'm looking at $1,000 to get rear sets. The GMoto rear sets, to get them imported from the UK to here is about $1,000. And if you see that, there's a bit of flex in them. I reckon I can actually fix these. So I've gone ahead and ordered a new foot peg because if you look at that one, it's gone. So new foot peg on the way. I've already got some replacement parts for this rod, so fingers crossed I can fix that as well. And then the same on this side, but this GMoto rear set is absolutely perfect. So I'll have to drop that down and back because let's face it, I'm 6'3", I'm not 5'2". Very, very cool. Next thing is the Öhlins TTX rear shock, which it looks like it's got another one of these sock covers on it, the RNG Racing sock cover. So, I mean, that's gonna come off. I'm not gonna keep that on there because I think it takes away from the aesthetics of the bike and people wanna see that. They wanna see the TTX standing out. So, it's got a Rizoma oil cap, which someone has actually lock wired. So I'm gonna guess this bike has actually been on track before, and I wouldn't be surprised. The reason why it got to auction in the first place could be because someone maybe crashed it on track and then claimed it as a road accident. Because it happens, but why not? I mean, come on, if you've got an Rsv4 RF, who wouldn't track it? Same battery I use in all my builds, super light, SSB Power Sport Lithium. These are around about $220, so that's actually good to have, better than having a lead battery in there. Everything in here also looks like it's all in one piece, just dusty as heck. It's like all Aprilia RRs and RFs, it comes with all of the engine protection as well, which means that saves me probably in the vicinity of around $500. So it means I don't have to go out and buy GB Racing engine covers because it just has all of the covers on all the important parts of the engine. Massive bonus. Okay, another reason why I bought this bike is the RR and RF are one of the only super bikes that came out in 2017 with an adjustable rear swing arm pivot. So I think you can adjust up and down 1.5 mil or more, I can't remember. But that in its time was quite revolutionary. Even my V4 Panigale does not have that. So you've got to go to a V4R Panigale to get an adjustable swing arm pivot. So this bike has a lot of potential, but we're also about to mix up how we build bikes on this channel. No longer am I going to do builds over months. We're now talking builds over just a few episodes. And if I can, I'll even get it into 24-hour, one episode build episodes for the whole bike. I hope that made sense. But I don't see the point in making you watch for 3 months to see a build complete. I want to get them in, I want to get them out the door. So that's the change we're making. And the next part is how you're going to see that happen.
Honey, I got what you want. Give me all of your love, 'cause it's burning hot. It's what you do to me, babe, I can guarantee.
So as you can see, I'm true to my word. I want to speed these builds up, and I've known about this bike for 2 weeks, which has given me a 2-week lead time to go out and buy everything that I could possibly think that I would need based on the original photos that I was given of the bike. And I've spent a lot of money. I've spent far too much. And the biggest risk is the bike won't even work. So is this a waste of money, or is it actually gonna pay off? This is the make or break moment, because I've got something which is probably the best bargain I've ever picked up. I've picked up a dash, an ignition and a top triple, and an ECU combo kit, including a key, for $299. Yes, that's right, $299. And this is probably the key to whether or not this bike is going to be worth what I paid for it, and I guess a good investment. So I can do away with this ignition, I can do away with the ECU, I can, even if I wanted, I can even replace the dash, which I probably will. And that way everything is coded exactly the same. I don't have to worry about any coding issues. And even better than that, apparently this ECU is pre-race tuned. So I've just saved myself close to $1,000 on tuning this bike, maybe. We're still gonna have to do a dyno run, don't get me wrong, but if it produces good horsepower numbers, look out. So next up, what I think I'll do is I'll take the battery off. I'll start replacing all of this, put the battery back in and see if we've got power. If we've got power, that means we can move to the next step, which is doing a quick service on the bike, and then fingers crossed, we'll try and get it started as well. I don't know if you guys are as nervous as me, but this is the part where I just go, shit, have I just wasted a ton of money? I hate touching batteries. I don't know why, there's just something about it. I always think it's gonna kill me. It's probably only a tiniest little voltage jolt if I get it, but something about touching a battery I hate. Doesn't want to come off, this fuel clip. I'm just going to rest it on my head because I'm a real mechanic. Oh, come on, you bitch. Not you, the bike. Ah, got it. And I got fuel all over my head. Yeah. One fuel tank off. The battery's off. It should be nice and safe to remove and replace the ECU. I don't know why I'm cleaning the old one, but this whole project, we're gonna track how much we're spending and how much we're actually making back. So, ECU, dash, maybe the old ignition, even though there's no key, and the extra top triple I've got, I'm gonna sell those things for combined value of, let's go, 800, 500, this is Australian dollars, 800, 500, and say 200, what's that, 1,500 Australian, so around about $2 American. And that will actually recoup a fair bit of the money that was spent to buy this bike, even though we got the bike super, super cheap. So now we're just gonna take this ECU off, and it should come off super easy. Done. That was nervous. Okay, so it was too good to be true. There is a slight breakage, but I think I can fix it because there's the original dash off the bike. The back of it has got all 3 mounting points. Here's the new dash I bought. That mounting point is broken. So I'm pretty sure this whole outer protection thing comes off so I can switch them over. Up here for thinking. Job done. Hey, job done. Next up, I'm gonna take the top triple off, and then we should be able to get the ignition off. So I've just quickly drilled that out and then used a reverse, what is it called, a nut puller. Screw that out of there, so that means I can just take this side off and the whole ignition should just come off. Just a bit of a clean. And that one's ready to go on. Okay, so I've got the new dash, I've got the new ECU, I've got the new ignition plugged in as well, and I've got the battery back on with a tender charger. So I'm gonna put a tender charger on every bike now, just because it makes it so much easier to trickle charge them. So this is the moment of truth. Will this bike actually get power? I mean, the battery could be flat for all I know, but let's try it. All we're looking for is power. We're not gonna try and start the bike. Cross your fingers. Yes! That is absolutely awesome. And the dash is good. Yeah, there's a couple of little issues on the dash. There's a couple of little errors showing up, but it's just the ATC disabled and the alarm service. This is very, very good news. This means we can actually do a service on the bike now and try and start it in this episode. Awesome. But before I do that, I actually don't want to do the jobs twice. So this bar here is really bent. You can see how bent that bar is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, whilst we've got the top triple off, I'm going to switch out this bar. And then when I switch out that bar, I might as well switch these out as well, because we're not going to be using these. We've got a special treat for this bike, and also get rid of this lumpy thing as well. So that was just to test the bike. Now that we know it works, we don't actually need it. So let's clean up this whole front end and then service the bike and then see if we can get it to start. Right, so we picked this up, $59. It's not perfect and we're not gonna keep it forever because we are going to order a nice new set of clip-ons, but this is just so we can actually start putting things together, and this one's not bent. We've got the left side switchgear, Jet Prime left side switchgear. This shit looks awesome. So we can play with whatever colors we want on that. And then we've got the start stop button, the Jet Prime start stop button. Start stop. Oh no, I ordered red. Oh, whoops. Oh well, we got a red one. So we can put all this on now and then clean this whole bike up. So check this out, that's all come off. Look at the bend in that, that is crazy. So let's put this new one on and then we'll start putting some of these race buttons on. So the front is mostly put back together. I've just got to put the actual buttons on the switchgear. And the reason why I love using these OEM clip-ons on the Aprilias and the Ducatis is they have locator pins which tie them in at the perfect angle to the top triple. So you don't have to worry about trying to configure the angle of your clip-ons. Easy job. Now, I've just realized that on this side, on the right hand, on the throttle side, I've bought the switchgear, which is just single-sided. I'll show you what I mean. So it doesn't come with a back clamp. It's supposed to use the clamp off the brake and clamp directly onto it. So I really want to get this bike started, but I might as well finish up the front a little bit cleaner. So what I've done is I jumped back on eBay again and I found what I would have to say is one of the best bargains of this build. I found an Rsv4 Corsa Quarter for, I think I paid $120 for this. And it came with another Brembo reservoir as well, which standalone is about $40 or $50. So what would normally be $400 or $500, 120 bucks. And that's what's gonna make this build hopefully worthwhile if it starts. Well, I'll eat my own words because whilst I've got an Rsv4 that fits, I can't back the switchgear straight onto the Rsv4 because they're actually offset. So, and I can't use the reverse piece, the bracket of the original, the OEM brake lever, because it's straight up and down as well. See, the center holes are lined straight up and down. I need the offset Jet Prime one. So two options, I either get Andy, my mate with the Tuono, to make me one on the 3D printer, which would be pretty cool, probably carbon reinforced, or I try and find a Jet Prime one for this bike. I'm thinking we let Andy do it. Also just quickly cleaned up this back section, so I removed the other piece of fairing that was on there and took this off. And check this out, this is actually an EP, Evotech Performance Tail Tidy. So with the indicators, I reckon this is probably, oh look, I'm gonna say another $150. yeah, I'll just clean it up a little bit. More money, eBay. So something else I can sell, the original Brembo Master. That'll probably fetch around another 150 as well. Now some of you are probably looking at this going, that's pretty ratty to put on a new build. So I've actually got a new one. And I picked this up dirt cheap, $60. So it's actually original Brembo. It was just excess stock. So that's gonna go on there and look nice and neat. No, you are kidding me. The lever doesn't fit. Ah, I see. That there on this one is curved. See? That's curved and that's got an L lip on it. So that fits neatly into that. And this one doesn't. Yet another of my bargains has turned to shit. Starting to look like I'm not as good at eBay as I thought I was. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna list this RC19 for sale for about $250, and I'm going to call one of my sponsors, Moto Mia, and get them to get me a CNC Racing RC19 Brembo. That way I'll know everything fits. That's what I should have done in the first place. I don't know why I didn't. You live and you learn. So we're getting pretty close now. I think I've done literally everything I need to do, but why don't I just chuck the new air filter in anyway? Like, it's easier to do it now than pulling the tank back off again. Because once I do this, I can quite literally put the tank on, try and get the bike started, and then just start adding bling, performance parts, and really actually kicking off the build properly. So let's do that. I just gotta undo, I think it's 6 screws around the airbox, pull it back, slide this in, job done. Just slide straight in like that, and then this locks it in place, I think. Like that. Like that, there we go. Okay, new filters in. Okay, are you ready? Because I'm not really. I always get nervous around this time because this is a make or break, so fingers crossed. Power on. Now, there's almost no fuel in the tank, so I don't even know if I need to go and top up first. So I'll just prime it a couple of times first. It's priming okay. Okay, she's in neutral. Here goes nothing. Man, it sounds awesome. It sounds so good. This sounds way, oh, it smells a bit. This sounds way better than the double R that I did. This AR Racing, Austin Racing exhaust just sounds mint. I'll see if I can open up the garage door, shut the door to the house so I don't smell the house out. Let's see if I can get this to run for a little bit and get it on camera. Okay, garage door open, check. You gotta hear this baby up close. Like that AR Racing exhaust sounds awesome. On. Oh, what's going on now? Okay, I'm actually getting a bit of smoke in here, so I'll turn it off, but damn, man, that sounds awesome. Yeah, look at the smoke coming out. Wow, I guess it hasn't been started for a while, so it's probably got a whole bunch of oil in it from when it was crashed, like sitting in the pipes and on all the breather tubes and everything, so I wouldn't be surprised if I can actually get it to run for a while, if I probably end up having quite a bit of smoke come out of it. So there you go, thanks for watching. Another epic build. Only probably another couple of episodes and this bike's gonna be complete. So we've got heaps of stuff coming, heaps of bling, heaps of carbon, new bodywork, custom paint job, custom decals, custom everything. Stay tuned, like, subscribe, you know the drill. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We have got some huge news to share with you on the Rsv4 RF build today, so stay tuned. But first, I've got to get these wheels off the bike because the painting process is definitely going to take the longest. And let me tell you, this rear wheel did not want to budge. It was so hard to get off. And the front wheel, massively over-torqued. Even the caliper bolts were hugely over-torqued. I was worried I was going to snap them. But I managed to get it off. So now that the wheels are off, I can actually start stripping them, which means taking the discs off the front. I just bent my thumbnail back. Bikes are dangerous. And then taking the drive off the rear. And now that they're off, I'm going to give them a bit of a clean up. Just a pressure wash and a bit of a bubble wash. Just to get a bit of the grease off them before I take the next step.
Oh god, that's light.
Forged, baby. I didn't actually realize they were forged until I took the sticker off it and realized it said forged. Oh, far out, that's heavy. Oh my god, that is super, super light. So the wheels are now stripped and ready for paint, and we'll get on to that in a minute. But the big news is the first owner, not the owner that crashed it, got in touch with me on Instagram yesterday, sent me some photos of the bike from when he'd just done the mods to it. So he did the exhaust, the rear sets, those sorts of things. He did a pretty cool upgrade. He did the race ECU upgrade. So the ECU I pulled out of it is actually a pre-tuned race ECU. So big question, which one do I stick with? So if you happen to know, drop me a message because I'm keen to find out which is my best solution moving forward. So I'm a sucker for punishment. I've got to be honest, it just took me another hour to mask up these wheels. They're an absolute nightmare. It is the worst job in the world. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. If I'd got someone to actually prep and paint these wheels for me, it would have cost me $470. So far, it's already taken me 5 hours worth of prep, and it's going to take me about another 4 or 5 hours to paint them. So let's just say, let's rough it out at 10 to 12 hours versus $470. But at the end of it, I get to say I'm the one that painted them, and that will be a good feeling. So they are now all actually masked up. So this was quite hard. You can see how neat you have to be. I've gone over all the wheels again and got rid of any imperfections, any little bits of grease that I could find. I've blow and dried them with the heat gun to get rid of the water. All the seals are all sealed up. Here's the extra hub piece, that's all masked up and ready to go as well. So now we're going to put just a couple of base coats down of infill primer, just a light grey, and then we'll sand that back and start applying top coats and gloss coat. So fingers crossed it all goes well. Socks and thongs, check. So now that we're literally waiting for paint to dry, I'm gonna get on with actually stripping down more of the bike, listing more parts on eBay, and just getting it ready to put some more parts on it. The stand is totally loose. The bolts are hardly even holding it on. That's weird. Kind of confirms my original theory. One very dirty side stand. eBay, 120 bucks. I think I've managed to fix the air ducts as well. It looks like that all just come completely unclipped. There are some tiny little broken clips on them, but I think they'll suffice. I don't think I need to go and shell out for carbon ones just yet. I can also take this broken frame plug off. Another thing off. And now we can see the awesome TTX rear shock. I think we're in for some good news because this is the bolt holding the rear set onto the frame, and look how bent that is. Now, someone commented in the last video that they thought maybe the rear sets weren't bent, maybe it's just the bolt. I reckon we're about to find out. So both those bolts holding this bracket to the frame were bent. So now, against a straight edge, this bracket looks like it's savable and it's nice and straight. So 2 new bolts to hold it onto the frame just there. But my biggest concern is actually the bracket between that and the rear set itself. Just as I thought, well and truly bent. Look at this. Not straight at all. But I think I can take the heel plate off, put it on a press, and we should be able to press it flat again. So I've got another surprise coming up for the channel, and I'm not going to tell you, you see if you can guess what it is, but that is the biggest box of Ducati parts I've seen in my life. It is so heavy, and that's around about half of it. If you can guess what it is, drop a comment, let me know, but I challenge you to guess this one. Okay, so we're just going to try and press this piece. This is the center, it's like the middle piece of the rear set, and it's clearly bent. So we're just going to put it on a flat surface and put 2 flat plates on top. Rear sets are back on, they look way better. Still like not perfectly straight, but way straighter than they were now that they're pressed. I'm just waiting on the replacement pieces for the actual arm, so we'll finish that off when they arrive. So now back to the wheels, and this took me, like no joke, about an hour just of sanding. I first started 800 grit, worked my way down to 2000 grit, and then as soon as that was done, I had to take them outside and give them a nice wash off again.
Then I hit him with 5 coats of white. This took me ages, and it was actually quite late in the afternoon, so I was losing light, but I did manage to get a pretty good tan line. Next morning, I hit him again with 2000 grit, and they came up pretty nice. Then it was onto the radiators. These things were filthy, so I just soaked them and the calipers in some solvent wash first. Cleaned the chain guard and put that back on as well, because that was just horrible. And then I could actually get back to these radiators now that it was soaked right in. So it actually came up quite clean. I was pretty impressed with them. So back to the parts department, we've got some dual carbon brake pads. I love these things, and some very cool Aprilia covers to go on the radiator. Super easy to install as well. Polish the back end off with some nice clean chain guards and a shark fin for the bottom.
And next up, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, but what's in this box will be very divisive because we've tried it before, but last time we tried it, we used a very cheap solution. This is the top-end solution. These are genuine Aprilia carbon brake ducts. So, like I said, you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. But let's check them out. So personally, I think they actually look awesome. I can't wait to see what they look like with the white wheel behind them. I think it's going to make the carbon really, really stand out. Very, very cool. Another neat little addition to a very cool bike. The front end is now starting to look a lot fresher with all of that cleaning done. The new Aprilia branded guards there, the carbon there, even on the back, now that we've got this whole thing cleaned up as well. Much, much better. Right, back to the wheels, I guess.
So now I'm laying down 4 coats of clear, and I've got to get this perfect because any stuff ups, I'm going to have to sand them out and redo it all.
I'm pretty impressed. Like, I'm not a pro, but I'll give myself maybe an 8 out of 10. There's some small discrepancies that I don't like that I think I could probably do better next time. You'll see I've just peeled a little bit of the masking tape off there. My hands are as clean as they can be. It's quite smooth out on the edges here. It's smooth on the insides, but this section here is so rough because of the anodizing underneath it. I don't think I sanded it enough. I don't think it's really going to matter because I'm going to put some decals on these wheels as well. But overall, they've actually come up really well. I didn't do much in the center here, but you're never going to see that. And then the front wheel, again, really smooth compared to the back wheel. The only parts that are slightly rough is right in the center, but only some of them. I think I could have gone slightly heavier with the paint there as well, but it is what it is. I've got a slight run on the clear there, so I'm gonna have to sand that back and polish it. Apart from that, they've actually come up pretty well. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna mock it up. So first thing I'm gonna do is get rid of the chain. I won't bother filming that. I'm just gonna grind that off. And then I'm gonna try and get this hardware back on the wheels, but I'll do it while they're up there so that I don't damage anything because it's only been roughly 16 hours since I painted. So last thing I want to do is chip my beautiful paint. So I'm going to take my time. I really don't want to spend another 12 hours painting and see if we can at least get this bike looking like the future vision that it should look like. I just want to see it with the white wheels on it. We've got a few other things to do as well. I've got to get these rear sets sorted, and I've got a plan for that. And then I've also got to get this situated. And I'm not sure if I can do it until I get the fairing, but I'm thinking I'm going to situate it off these 2 bolts here. So I reckon that's probably the way to go.
So to make it easier on myself, I pre-cleaned all of the hardware with degreaser and then heaps of hot soapy water. Made it so much cleaner to put it all back together. And then simply Loctited everything down to spec. Put it all back together the way it was supposed to go. and did my best not to scratch the wheels when I was trying to fit them back on. Oh yeah, how good does that look? Just the white makes such a difference. And I can't wait till all the carbon arrives as well, because that's gonna make it pop even more. And then with nice fresh black slicks on it as well. Yeah, that is wicked.
So I did tell you I was gonna build this bike fast, and this is a massive big box of goodies. So let's get into it.
This is a full race fairing package from Profiber, and it includes a full carbon package as well, including a race seat. I'm pretty excited about this.
So I've done it again, and I've now got this huge big table of goodies all to put on the bike. And I think what I'm gonna do first is just try and clear as much off this table as I can and put it onto this beauty. So I think let's do the carbon, because I don't wanna have carbon sitting around potentially getting broken in my garage, and then we'll attack everything else. So let's get into it.
And for $6, a new set of stand spools is one of the easiest things you can do. So whatever you do, do not skip this part. You've got to clean the frame under where these guards are going to go. And I use a combination of degreasing cleaner, water, and then I'll polish it up with a nice clean microfiber cloth. So when I put the actual carbon frame guards on, everything sticks, and underneath I know it's nice and shiny.
Now we are cooking. Carbon, 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 and look how much that pops off the white. That is so awesome. That's exactly what I was looking for. Wait till we get some color on this bad boy, and the color against the white against the carbon. That's going to be fully sick. The good thing to see, I can get rid of that extra shark fin as well, because it's got a built-in shark fin on the rear there. So pretty cool. Pretty impressed with that. I gave these a really good clean before I put them back on as well. So they actually work to help hold this all in place. So I like the design of that, how it's got that hole there. Works very, very, very cool. Awesome. Okay, on to the next part. So whilst I'm working over this side of the bike, my good friend Andy has made me this. He's 3D printed me a mount with my logo in it. I think you can see that through my t-shirt, for the regulator rectifier. So I want to be able to get it, once I get this evap out of the way, I want to be able to mount this just here like this. So I think that's going to look really good. It's going to make it nice and snug along with the bike and just get it out of the way. So fingers crossed we've got our measurements right. If not, I'll send it back, he'll do it again. But that's basically it. So there you go, it's just mocked up for now. I think I need to put a little bit of spaces behind each one, and that should be perfectly flush. I should have the fairing coming just outside it. Bob's your uncle. The think what I might do is I might finish everything on this side and then move to the other side. And that way I can just feel like I'm completing a whole side at a time. I don't know why. Strange process, but it'll work. Okay, so next up, we're gonna go to GB Racing. So this is the left side of the bike. So we're just gonna take that out. It comes with the mounting bolts as well, which I've got down here. So it should be as simple as taking the existing OEM cover off and then bolting this on and torquing it down to, I think it's 10 Newton meters per bolt hole. So let's do that.
Massive overkill on the amount of bolts required just for these semi-non-protective covers that Aprilia provide.
So someone commented in my last video saying that these are super thin and they're basically just for noise. And I actually believe them now because look at that. It's just a foam padding inside, so like a super thin shell. But regardless, I'm gonna sell these. So someone's gonna buy these on eBay and I'm gonna recoup probably about $150 for all of them. Anyone here ever work at KFC as a kid? Clean as you go. That's the motto for KFC. I remember it all this time later. Like I was 14 or 15 years old when I worked there and I still remember it. I mean, I don't always do it, but I still remember it. So sticking with the left-hand side of the bike, and I've got this. And this was not cheap. There we go. Almost like a new rear set for the right-hand side, and it's actually the race conversion kit. So let's take it over and see how she works. So the problem that we had in the last episode was that this is actually still a tiny little bit bent, and there's not enough clearance between this nut here and the actual arm. You can see how it's super, super, super close there. So we don't want that. We need more clearance there. So this new piece, if you have a look at this section here, it's actually offset. So it actually offsets in, I think like that. I'm not sure, we'll double check. It might be like that. So you've actually got more room for your shift arm to come straight down in a nice straight angle. I'm gonna have to space this out just a tiny little bit, like bring it out this way, because otherwise it's gonna hit the guard, the new carbon guard. So yeah, bugger. Okay, so that's all spaced out now. It's not touching, nothing's touching the swing arm, plenty of room. Now I've just got to get this to connect to this. And the problem that I've got is that all of my spare parts are the wrong angle thread. So the original part is a left-handed thread. All of my spares are all right-handed threads. So I'm gonna have to go to the shop in the morning and get some right-handed threaded rod. I think it's 6mm or 5mm. See if I can fix that tomorrow. Turns out I just needed my morning coffee. Left thread, right thread. Sorted. Now I've just got to adjust this, so I'm just going to take the arm off, push it back a little bit and bring this up, and then we're in business. Another thing done. I've just made my first screw up because the 3D mount that we made for the Reg isn't going to work the way I've got it designed. I think I need to drop it down and forward because this little lug nut here is the frame holder for the fairing, for the front fairing, and it's supposed to come out of that same hole. So I'm gonna have to redesign this, or get Andy to redesign it, reprint it, more like a offset triangle, I guess, so that this can sit there and hold the front fairing. Well, the new one, not the broken one. Okay, so next up we're gonna get rid of the EVAP. And on most of my bikes, like my Ducatis and Beamers and stuff, the EVAP actually has a plug. So it actually has a electric plug that you've got to block off. You got to put a delete plug on it. This, I think it's just pressurized. So I'm pretty sure all I have to do is back here on the tank, I pull this one off, the one at the back, so the back breather. And then if you see down here, there's actually a valve connected to that. What I want to do
is try and pull this all the way out. So I need to disconnect these two here. The smaller one of the two, I'm just going to block off. So I'm going to put a little bolt inside it and then put the tie back on. And the bigger one, I'm going to pull all the way out, take the valve off, and then just run a straight line all the way down, which then depressurizes the tank and cancels out the evap. So fingers crossed it works, because I'm used to just plug and play. So I'll still have to feed this. I'm just going to take this cover off and feed it in behind and then down there like that. And this front hose, I'm just going to put a bolt in it like that, all the way in. And then once the bolt's in, I'm just going to clamp it off with a tie. So next up, I've just got to finish the side stand delete. So if you remember in the first episode, we took the stand off, but the way the stand works on these is very simple. If I push this up, the stand is then in the up position. And what it does is it closes the circuit, this little copper piece here, closes the circuit between the in and out current, and basically just says to the bike, the stand is up. When you take this off, the circuit becomes open. So what we need to do is actually take the two wires and join them back together. So just use a soldering joint and then put a bit of a slip shrink wrap over the top, and that's what will actually finish off that stand delete for us. This is it just here. If you look on the other side, there on the other side, that's where it would have made contact with that bar. So what we need to do is basically join these two together, and by doing, all we're going to do is we're going to cut this off, which will expose two wires, and then solder a new joint in the middle. So that's another job done. Now I haven't actually routed this this line yet, this overflow line, simply because I just want to replace it. So I want to go to the shop and get something which is a little bit smaller so it'll fit down in that hole, and then I can put it all the way down and tie it in with this bleeder here as well, the breather, sorry. So I'll get back to that. But next up, what I've got to do to finish off this side of the bike is I bought this, and I've been waiting like 3 weeks for this. It's nice, it's not brand new, but it looks a hell of a lot straighter than that little cheap replacement one that I had bought just in the meantime. So we're going to take this back off, put this nice fresh one on, and that's easier said than done because now I've got to get this grip back off.
So I've basically got to strip most of the top triple down again just to get to this one bar on the left. It's a fair bit to it actually. And then it's just a case of rebuilding the whole thing back to front. So make sure you put your clutch on first and then rebuild back from there.
Okay, so how much better does that look? Like just with the silver bar and everything just matching now. So I've still got to torque all this down, torque all the nuts down, and mark out the torques on the bolts. So I can already see a couple of issues we're going to have with mounts, and this is further out than it should be. So we're going to have to alter that mount, as I said previously. And the next is this mount on the tank is way further back. The actual fairing mount should be up here. So I'm going to have to figure that one out shortly. But we're making quick progress again. So I'm going to jump onto the right side of the bike now and at least try and get this bike looking good for a Saturday night at home.
That's heavy. This is almost too easy, this build, I gotta be honest. Now we've got a pretty awesome special treat for this bike. A brand new Brembo Rsv4, thanks to our awesome sponsors, Moto Mia. So I'm gonna put their details up on screen and in the description. So if you need any CNC racing parts, make sure you hit them up. Look at that. Look at that service. Cup of tea. Thanks, bud. Okay, so let's take a look. Oh yeah, what's that? It comes with another tool. That's cool. And there we go, much, much better. And it's the Corsa quarter, so even better. So that's gonna replace this Corsa quarter here, which is actually going on that bike there. So, not wasted, still can use it, bonus. So that is awesome. I love when he gives me a Corsa quarter because I always think I'm just getting the Rsv4, but the Corsa quarter is so much nicer. So I'm just gonna wind that out a little bit. Here we go, and that's perfect. I'm not gonna pump it because I actually don't have the reservoir and stuff there yet because I've got the wrong bolt. I've got the wrong, whatever they're called, banjo bolt. So I need to get the right banjo bolt for this because it's got a much, much finer thread. So this little gap here is about to be filled because my mate Andy, the guru of 3D printing, has made me this. It's an offset rear mount for the race buttons that we've got. And because the race buttons were only one side and are offset in those mounts just there, now we can put them on. Gold. Corona time, Saturday night. I feel like I'm building this too quick. Maybe something will go wrong on the dyno, who knows, but there's not much left on the table. Let's take a look. So we're quite literally left with three things. We've got our Easy Grip tank grips, we've got our full fairing from Profiber, we've got all our decals, which are a special treat. You're gonna see that in the next episode. And there's one thing that's not on there, and that's an AIS delete. So we've got an AIS delete coming for this bike. I've also just mocked these up the bar ends. I don't have them on tight because I just need to get some smaller sleeves for there just to bridge that gap. But these are Monkey Bones bar ends, so they're on as well. So I'm thinking, I think it's time to do a fairing mock-up. So I'll start with the bottom fairing. I'm just gonna drill the two side holes. I'm not gonna drill the, yeah, you know what? I'll drill all 5 holes, 6 holes. See the problem? And there's no mount behind there. There's a mount here, but if I put a mount there, yeah, sort of hold it in place, but then I've got to smooth that over. So do I put a mount there, which that's in line with where the mount is on the tank, or do I fabricate one and put it here to pull that in? Not sure. So I did speak too soon. Let me show you what I mean. I've got the seat on. Now that is nice and flush. That's super easy. And those bolt holes there actually are the same bolt holes for the back. So that's cool. But when you try and get the actual seat on, the seat is too tight through here. So what I'm gonna have to do is actually take this fabric off and then cut about 5 mil out of that edge just with my Dremel and then put that back on. So that'll be for the next episode. But let's go ahead and let's try and get the front fairing on just to see how that looks. you have it, the first mock-up. Yes, the lines aren't perfect. Yes, I still have to shave the air vents a little bit just to get this front sitting back a little bit further. So we've still got the screen to go on. We've got a pretty awesome decal package for this bike. And if you want a teaser as to what it's gonna look like, jump on my Instagram, because I'm gonna post a photo up there of essentially what it'll look like finished, minus the colors. But yeah, another day of massive amounts of progress. I still feel like I'm building this too quickly. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, you know the drill.
Welcome back to the channel and the Rsv4 RF build. And I've got to get this bike ready by Tuesday night for a photo shoot, which means I've got to get it finished. And today is already Saturday. Let's get into it. So that's one seat completely prepped and ready to go. All I've got to do is glue it. So I've just got to glue the fabric back onto the base. I've just got this. This is Sally's Shoe Fix glue, and it should do the trick. It's basically for gluing fabric back onto like a rubber or plastic surface. So the biggest job is yet to come, because what we've got to do now is we've actually got to prep the tank. Okay, so now that the tank's off, I need to strip it right down, which means the cap has to come off. All the electrics have to come out, so the pump has to come off as well. Anything that doesn't need to be there for painting needs to come off. The tank is now completely stripped down. I've got anything electrical, everything off it that shouldn't be on it. I've got the pump out of it. So now what I want to do is, instead of using solvents to get rid of this top coat, I'm actually just going to use sandpaper, because it's a plastic tank, so I don't want to use anything solvent based, because I just don't know how it's going to react with plastic. So I hit this tank with heaps of different grades of sandpaper, and it still didn't give me the finish I wanted, but it's probably the closest I could get to perfect. Okay, so that's the boring part done. Now this is the fun part. This is where I've actually got the bike mocked up. All the fairings have been primed, prepped and sanded. I've washed them down with water. Now it's about design. So as much as this is the fun part, it's also the most stressful, because now I've got to come up with something interesting. So I've got this big box of decals, and I've got two massive big Rsv4 RF decals as well for somewhere on the side of the bike. I don't know where just yet, but all of this needs to start going on here. So I've just got a roll of duct tape. I'm just going to duct tape stuff on, have a bit of a play with some designs, get a bit of a feel for where the colors are going to go.
Right, so I've done a bit of a mock-up, but I'm not sure I'm happy with it. So let me run you through it. So the screen, when it goes on, will have like a 1L sticker just on the side of it. I've got a factory sticker here in the Aprilia writing. I've got a little flag, little Italian flag at the front there. I've got my typical 1L Moto sticker on the side. And then if we look right down the bottom of the fairing, you'll actually see I've gone with the Rsv4 RF right at the bottom. I just think it's different. Like everyone else puts it in a big band across the bike. I don't know if I want to be that obvious. I just think more subtle is better. I've got a 1L sticker just here, just on the tank. Aprilia Racing sticker just here. I've got an Rsv4 RF sticker at the back, but I don't know if I really need that because it says it at the bottom anyway. It's pretty obvious. And I do also have these, which are pretty cool. This is actually, I don't know if you can see that. This is the Aprilia, is it a lion's head? I'm not sure, maybe a cougar head. But I think that could go on the bike somewhere as well. I'm just not sure where. Maybe underneath the back, maybe just up under there, I could put that. Yeah, again, I want to go understated. I don't want to go too in your face. Remember, it's going to be that Audi green with, if I want, I've also got my Audi grey. It's not Nardo grey, it's, I'll think of the name, put it in the, right here. So now I've just got to get my 5mm tape, my little line marking tape, and start marking out the different colors. What's going to be green, what's going to be grey, what's going to be white, what's going to be black. And that's the hard part. So I've got to be honest, I can't land on something I really like. Either it's too simple or too over the top. So I think what I might do is I might get a second opinion. I'll wait till my wife gets home. She's pretty good with colours and stuff. And she'll be able to tell me if this is on the money or off the money. So this would basically be the super dark green on the outside with the stickers that I showed you before, the decals I showed you before, and inside here would be the dark grey with probably a black pinstripe on the edge. So a black pinstripe the whole way around, just to separate the grey from the green. So wifey thinks that, tell me, what do you reckon?
I reckon green, white and grey.
Okay, so instead of doing a black stripe here, make that stripe white. And then that way, what does it do? It
will, because the wheels are white.
Yeah.
So it's got, whole things go together.
Ties it all in. Cool. Nice.
I think so.
Squish your head. Squish.
If you're an impatient person, then I suggest finding someone else to do this, because this has got to be the most annoying part of any paint job. Masking up and getting it perfect. So before I go any further, I'm just going to double check everything, because this is the point of no return, and this is the scariest part of every single build. So basically, I'm just going to come in and check all of my lines, make sure there's no gaps and no air lines, no air getting under, because I don't want grey paint going everywhere this first round of paint. So yeah, just making sure all my masking lines are perfect, and then getting myself set up so that when it comes to paint, there's not going to be anything slowing me down. I need to get probably 3 or 4 coats of grey. I need 8 to 10 minutes between each coat. So I need to put that time aside. I need to make sure I've got absolutely everything laid out and ready in the exact sequence that I need it. So I've got my scales, I've got my gun, I've got my mixers, I've got my measures, they're all here. I've got my new filters, not that I'm gonna need it, but I've got a new filter in there for the gray. So I think I'm ready. So yeah, let's do it. You could say I'm a little bit nervous. Oh, I don't know why I get so nervous about painting, but I guess this is why most people use a body shop. Looking pretty good. I quite like, and it's smooth. Oh yeah, that is smooth. So that's not bad at all. I don't even know if I need to sandpaper that. Like I might just be able to go straight over that with clear. Some nice defined lines as well. Looking good so far. So now what I'll do is I'll actually just let this dry for another couple of hours. Then I'll reverse mask it and then start applying the actual Audi District Green. Okay, so I'm reverse masked. That took me about an hour. So I think it's all nice and neat. All my edges are perfect, except there's a couple of tiny little spots, but I'm pretty sure once I put the white line on it, you're not gonna notice. All done. So, green paint, here we go. So with the color all done, I've got to admit, it's way darker than I first thought, but it still looks pretty cool. So once I add some white, it's gonna pop even more. But there is a clear difference here between the gray and the green, which is cool. I can't wait to see what it actually looks like in sunlight. It should look a lot lighter. So anyway, what we're gonna do now is I'm just gonna get the clear on, I think, because that means that by tomorrow morning, I can put the decals on, put it all back together, and then before the weekend, get all the bikes to this beautiful spot in the city where I can get a bit of a photo shoot done, and that is practically the bike complete, minus the new bracket that we're getting made at the moment for the Reg Rec, and minus the dyno, but functionally complete. Next morning, and I've waited for this paint to dry, but it's gonna take a while, and I can't literally take this bike anywhere until I put a chain on it. So DID racing chain, we've gone with gold because I think gold will really pop against the colors that we've chosen. So as soon as we've got the chain on, we will then put the fairings on and do hopefully a final fit up. And then aside from the Reg Rec bracket, I can't really see what else we've got left. So it's been an epic bike so far. Let's get this chain on. So I've also routed that fuel breather. I've routed that down there and just put an extension on it. So both those breathers are together down the bottom now, and they run up behind that cover all the way up to where they need to go into the back of the tank, just here. And I've also prepped the tank. So I've got everything ready. I've got the fuel pump on, I've got the top on, I've got all the little attachments on, and it's all torqued down to spec. So next up, let's put the fairing on, put the tank on, see how she looks. So there we go, another bike built, and I couldn't be happier. Like, it's actually turned out really, really nice. It's a lot lighter in the sun than it is in the garage, and I was a little bit dubious about this color to start with, but it's growing on me. I think it's subtle. I think it's got just the right amount of color, the amount of white, and some accents, some gold accents as well. So I just want to thank some of our sponsors. I want to thank Motor Garage. I want to thank Motor Mia. You guys have been absolutely amazing throughout this build. Luckily, this is an RF, so this bike came with a lot of goodies. It's already got the full Öhlins package. So we didn't have to do a great deal of performance upgrades. We did do things like brake pads, RC19 Corsa quarter brakes as well. So next step for this, now that the build is finished, is we'll send it off to dyno and see what this puppy can produce, and then it'll be up for sale. So and on to the next build. So let me know in the comments what you think about this bike and what you think we should build next. Should we build maybe something Japanese? Should we stick to Italian? I'll be pretty keen to do like a ZX10 or an R1. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, you know the drill. Till next time.